In case of many beginners, most of the time when they learn the component feature in Figma, they often start to create component of each and everything, which is still a repetitive and time-consuming process. You can save more time and unlock that level 2 design superpowers by using the variants. By the end of this video, you will know how the variants can actually speed up your design process and make your design consistent and better. Variants, in simple words, are just two or more different properties of a component that you can use in your design and change the design properties between them while using this master component only once. For example, a button can have multiple states like default, hover, click, and disable. Let's create these button variants from scratch. First, type the button label for the desktop version. Change the style as desktop size. Then add it to the auto layout. Change the paddings. Give it a background fill. And round the corners. Now to turn this in a component, click on the component option here. You will have the main master component for the desktop version. In order to create a variant of this component, select our main component and click on this plus icon. This will add the variant in our main master component. Now you can edit this button variant to create a smaller button for the mobile version. Change the styles and reduce the top and bottom paddings. And you can also reduce the corner radius if you want, and you will get your smaller button variant. Now let's add this button in our UI cards. Add the bigger button instance in the UI card for the desktop. And similarly, add the smaller button instance in the UI card for the mobile. If you want to learn how to create UI cards using auto layout, I have already created two videos that you can watch after this video. At this point, you will have these two cards, one for desktop and one for mobile. Rename both of them with the same name. Then select both and click on this components drop-down menu. You will see these three options. Select the create component set option, and this will create a component set with the card variant for desktop and mobile. If you select the second option that says create multiple components, it will create individual main components for both of them. After creating the variants, you'll see in the layers panel, the icon for variants is a single diamond. And in the right panel, you'll see the property 1 option as default. And the warning that says same property applied for both variants, which is default in this case. You can rename any property by double clicking on that property and give it a name you want. For this cards component, rename it to the device. Select the desktop card and then in the property section, give a device property as desktop. And then select the mobile card and give device property as mobile. That way, when you take one instance of the components, you can easily switch between these variants. Let's place this card instance in both desktop and mobile pages. And by using the device property, we can easily switch the card variants. Just like the cards, you can also rename the properties for button. Double click on the property 1 and rename it to size. Select the big button and name the property as big. And then select the small button and name the property as small. You can also add more variants on top of this base component. If you select any of the variant, you will get this plus icon in the bottom. Click on it and it will add a duplicate of the selected component as new variant. Edit this variant to create another variant for the master component. It is helpful for creating multiple states of the button. Select the big button and add 3 more variants by clicking on this plus icon. And do the same for the small button as well. Both the first state is default, so leave it as it is. The second state is hovered. Select them both and change the fill slightly darker or lighter as per your preference. The third one is clicked state. It is when the button is clicked, so just make it more darker in our case. And the last state is disabled. You can reduce its saturation and lightness to give disabled button look. Once you created every state for both the buttons, you'll need to name each size and state properties for each button. In this case, first property is size, which is big and small, and the second property will be button state. So select the button component frame and in the right panel, add the new variant option by clicking on this plus icon and select the variant option. Name this as state. This will add a new state property. Select all the big buttons and rename the size property as big. And then select all the small button and rename the size property as small. Then for the states, first state keep it as default. And for the second state, select our both second big and small buttons and rename it to hover. Similarly, select our third big and small buttons and rename it to click. For the fourth button, rename it to disable and done. Now if you take instance of the button, you can change the variant using these two properties. You can get a big button with a hover state or a small button with a disabled state. This is just a basic. You can see more properties and more states in big design systems, which is fully customizable using all the remaining component properties. By using all these remaining component properties, you can level up even more in your design game. And if you want to learn more about these Figma component properties, you can click and watch next this video.